Let me ask you something personal. Don't worry, no one else is listening but us. Have you ever sat quietly, maybe late at night, and asked yourself, does this part of my life still matter? I mean the part that no one talks about. The part tied to desire, to touch, to the quiet corners of your body that still remember what it's like to feel alive. You know, we joke a lot about getting older. About stiff joints, memory slips, reading glasses. But when was the last time someone looked you in the eye and asked, how's your intimacy going? Are you still connected to yourself? We get so used to brushing it off, don't we? I'm too old for that now. It's embarrassing. That part of life's over. But here's the truth no one tells you, ignoring your sexual health as you age, especially the role of self-pleasure, can quietly, steadily, take more from you than you realize. Not just your desire, but your energy, your hormones, your bladder control, your sleep, even your memory. And before you think, oh, it's not that serious, listen, this isn't about being inappropriate or wild. It's about being well. Because something as simple and private as masturbation isn't just a habit. It's connected to real, biological health. To blood flow. To brain chemistry. To emotional balance. And to your sense of self-worth. I know it might feel strange to talk about. You might be thinking, is this really for people like me? But yes. It is. Because the truth is, aging doesn't shut off the body. It just asks you to listen differently. To care for yourself more intentionally. And to stop hiding from the things that keep you whole. In this video, we're diving into what really happens when older adults stop masturbating. The things your urologist might wish you knew, but probably hasn't said out loud. We'll talk about the physical effects, the emotional toll, the silent risks, and yes, what you can start doing today to feel more alive, more balanced, and more connected to yourself again. And hey, let's make this a conversation. If you've ever wondered, even quietly, does this part of my life still matter? Drop a comment below that simply says, still curious. Because trust me, you're not alone. And if this topic speaks to you, if you're ready for honest, respectful, and eye-opening conversations about aging with dignity, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. You're exactly where you need to be. This is Senior Care HQ, and we're just getting started. James was 72. A quiet man. A widower. He didn't like to complain, but something had changed. He told his doctor, I just don't feel like myself anymore. He was tired in a way sleep didn't fix. Less energy. Less spark. And a kind of dullness in the lower half of his body that he couldn't explain. Not pain exactly, just a numbness. Like that part of him had gone quiet. The doctor didn't just nod and hand him pills. He asked about James's routine. Not just food and walking. But intimacy. Had he been keeping in touch with his body? Had he allowed himself moments of release, of connection, even just with himself? James looked down and chuckled awkwardly. At my age, he said. I thought that ship had sailed. But here's the thing, that ship. It's still in the harbor. It just needs you to grab the wheel again. You see, as we age, the body doesn't lose its needs. It just whispers instead of shouts. And blood flow, especially to the pelvic region, is one of the first things that starts to decline if we don't actively maintain it. When you stop engaging with your lower body, through self-touch, gentle movement, or sexual stimulation, you're not just putting that part of your life on hold. You're slowing circulation to muscles, tissues, nerves, and organs that need oxygen and movement to stay healthy. That reduced blood flow doesn't just mean a lower sex drive. It can lead to physical symptoms, like erectile dysfunction, numbness, discomfort while sitting, and even early signs of incontinence. For women, it might mean dryness, irritation, or a general disconnection from a part of the body that was once alive with sensation. And here's the part that's often misunderstood: this isn't about lust or libido. It's about basic health. Just like brushing your teeth or stretching your legs, your pelvic region needs attention to keep working properly. But unfortunately, too many people shrug and say, "I'm too old for that now." Let me be clear, that's not aging, that's misinformation. Because sexual function isn't tied to how young you are. It's tied to how well you maintain blood flow, hormonal balance, and nervous system health. And you don't need to perform or follow some ideal from your younger days. Even gentle, non-sexual forms of stimulation, like pelvic tilts, warm baths, or simply lying with awareness in that area, can make a meaningful difference. There are also pelvic floor exercises, often called Kegels, that help both men and women. Not just for intimacy, but for bladder control, bowel function, and core strength. And if self-pleasure is something you're comfortable exploring, even occasionally, that's a natural, safe, and even medically encouraged way to keep your system healthy and responsive. So no, James wasn't broken. He wasn't past it. His body was simply waiting for him to reconnect, to give it the attention it still deserved. And blood flow is just the beginning. Because when you stop engaging with this part of yourself, it's not just your circulation that shifts. Your hormones begin to change, too. And that brings us to something most people don't notice until it creeps into their daily life: mood swings, sadness, sleep problems, and a sense of being disconnected from joy. Margaret had always been the kind of woman who lit up a room. You know the type: kind smile, a little sparkle in her eye, always the first to offer a cup of tea or make you laugh when things got tense. But something shifted. It wasn't right away, not in the days or even the weeks after her husband passed. It came quietly. Subtly. Her children noticed she smiled less. That her garden, once her pride, was now overgrown. That she was sleeping more, but waking up just as tired. Most assumed it was grief. And yes, grief plays a part. But what no one talked about was what also faded with her loss: her intimacy. Not just with her husband, but with herself. Because the truth is, after he died, she stopped touching herself altogether. She stopped thinking of her body as something worth nurturing. And with that came a slow, almost invisible drop in the very chemicals that once kept her feeling balanced. See, when we talk about intimacy and aging, people often roll their eyes and say, at this stage in life, that stuff doesn't matter anymore. But it does. Because the act of sexual touch, whether with a partner or alone, has nothing to do with age-appropriate behavior and everything to do with chemistry. Literal chemistry. Inside your brain. Inside your bloodstream. Inside your mood. Orgasms, arousal, even gentle physical stimulation, these activities release endorphins. They boost oxytocin, the bonding hormone. They raise dopamine levels, which helps with motivation, memory, and focus. And when we stop engaging with that part of ourselves, those hormones don't get released the same way. That natural, feel-good cocktail becomes a trickle, instead of a rush. Over time, this can lead to a noticeable dip in mental health. You might feel irritable and not know why. Struggle to sleep through the night. Lose interest in things that once brought you joy. It's not just aging. It's a shift in your inner world, one that many seniors silently endure without ever connecting the dots. And let's clear something up right now: this isn't dirty. It's not shameful. It's biology. Your body doesn't stop needing connection when you turn 60, or 70, or even 90. Your brain still responds to pleasure. To comfort. To warmth. To touch. Even if you've never been someone who explored self-pleasure in your younger years. That doesn't mean it's too late now. In fact, later in life is often the perfect time to rediscover what feels good to you, without pressure, without performance, just presence. You don't need to chase some big, dramatic climax. Even light, nurturing touch. A moment of stillness with your body. A warm hand on your skin, breathing deeply, reconnecting. All of it helps stimulate those healing, mood-lifting hormones. And if self-touch feels unfamiliar or awkward at first, start small. A warm bath. Gentle massage oil. Holding your own hand with care. Whatever helps you remember that you still live inside a body worthy of love. Margaret didn't need pills. She didn't need pity. She needed permission. Permission to touch her body again. And to believe that doing so wasn't selfish. It was healing. And slowly, over time, her spark returned. Not because she found a new partner, but because she found herself. And speaking of natural processes, let's shift to something that affects nearly every older adult, but often goes unnoticed until it starts to interfere with daily life: muscle tone, organ support, and the silent strength of your pelvic floor. Because what you don't move, you begin to lose. And this next part might surprise you. Eleanor was in her late 70s. Proud. Poised. Always dressed with care, hair brushed, lips tinted, never without a scarf tucked just so. She carried herself like someone who'd lived a full, rich life, and she had. But beneath all that grace was something she wasn't telling anyone. She'd started leaking urine. Not every day, just now and then. A laugh with friends, a sneeze, standing up too quickly. And there it was, unwelcome, embarrassing, and silently eating away at her confidence. She did what many women do, she blamed aging. It's just how it goes, she told herself. Nothing I can do. And like so many others, she quietly stocked up on pads and stopped going out as much. But during a routine appointment, her urologist asked the right question. Not, are you leaking? But, how connected do you feel to your pelvic floor? Eleanor blinked. My what? And that opened the door to a conversation that would change everything. You see, the pelvic floor is a group of muscles, deep, powerful, often ignored. That sit like a hammock at the base of your torso. They hold everything in place, your bladder, your intestines, even parts of your reproductive organs. These muscles are essential for things we often take for granted, like control over when we pee, how strong our core feels, and even how we experience pleasure. And here's the surprising part: sexual activity, especially masturbation, directly engages the pelvic floor. When you stimulate yourself, those muscles contract and relax in ways that keep them toned, responsive, and alive. But when intimacy disappears from your routine, whether with a partner or solo, those muscles can weaken. Slowly. Quietly. Until one day, a laugh turns into a leak. Or you can't hold it as long as you used to. Or worse, you start feeling a heaviness in your lower body, because organs aren't being supported like they once were. Now here's where most people get it wrong. They think, well, I've heard of Kegels. Isn't that enough? And Kegels are great, no doubt. But what no one tells you is that natural, intimate stimulation often works just as well. The rhythmic movements, the contractions during pleasure, even just tuning into that part of your body. All of it keeps the pelvic floor engaged, without it feeling like a workout. So yes, your body needs maintenance, but it doesn't always have to come from a rigid exercise routine. Sometimes, it comes from a moment of curiosity, a few quiet minutes of connection, or a habit of self-awareness that reminds your muscles they still matter. And if the problem is already happening, if you, like Eleanor, are noticing leaks, or urgency, or that unsettling sensation of pressure in your lower belly, please, don't suffer in silence. There is help. Real, practical help. A urologist or pelvic health physiotherapist can walk you through gentle steps to regain control. Without surgery, without shame, and without pretending like this is just part of getting old. Because it isn't just about holding your bladder. It's about holding on to your freedom. Your confidence. Your ability to move through life without fear or restriction. And here's the deeper truth most people miss: this isn't just about the body. It's about how you feel in your body. Because when you disconnect from touch, from sensation, from the muscles that ground you, you also start to drift emotionally. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about self-awareness. And how your sense of identity, confidence, and comfort with yourself can slowly fade when you stop seeing your body as yours. That's next. Peter was 65 when he quietly stopped looking at himself in the mirror. Not on purpose at first. It started slowly. He'd shave without really looking. Button his shirt without checking if it fit right. Avoid eye contact with his own reflection after a shower. "What's the point?" he muttered one day to his daughter, half joking. But the joke wasn't funny. Because over time, that disinterest in his reflection became discomfort. And then shame. He used to take pride in how he looked. In how he carried himself. Now he felt like a stranger in his own skin, someone soft where he used to be strong. Someone fading into the background. And the heartbreaking part? No one around him noticed the slow retreat, because he was still functioning. Still polite. Still fine. But inside, Peter had stopped feeling like himself. You see, one of the quietest losses that comes with aging, especially when we stop engaging with our bodies, is the loss of body awareness. That innate sense of, I'm here. I exist. I know who I am in this skin. Self-touch, including masturbation, isn't just about release. It's about recognition. It's how we stay in dialogue with ourselves, how we notice what's changing, what feels good, what feels off. And when we lose that practice, even unintentionally, it becomes easier to ignore our bodies entirely. We miss the little signals: tightness, tenderness, tension. We disconnect from the joy of being in motion. And sometimes, we even start to believe we're less valuable, less visible, less alive. That disconnection can erode confidence in ways we don't always notice right away. You might avoid intimacy, even a hug. Stop dressing with care. Turn down invitations, not because you don't want to go, but because you don't feel like someone who belongs. But here's the truth no one tells you: confidence isn't something other people give you. It's not about compliments or attention or youth. It's about how you relate to yourself. And in the second half of life, self-acceptance becomes the most powerful form of strength you can carry. So how do you reconnect? It doesn't need to be dramatic. Start simple. Next time you apply lotion, don't rush it. Slow down. Feel your skin. Notice its texture. Thank it for carrying you all these years. When you take a bath, let it be more than just getting clean. Let it be a return to sensation. Warmth. Presence. Explore gentle movement, yoga, stretching, even swaying to your favorite music. Anything that brings you back into your body. And if you feel comfortable, allow yourself moments of private touch, whatever that means for you. It's not about performance. It's not about youth. It's about reminding your body that it still matters. That you still matter. And you know what's truly fascinating? This connection to the body, it doesn't just affect how you feel in the mirror. It affects how your brain works, too. Because yes, self-pleasure is physical. But the benefits go far deeper. Into memory. Into focus. Into your brain's ability to stay active, curious, and emotionally steady. So let's go there. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood, and overlooked, connections of all. How self-touch might just play a quiet but vital role in protecting your cognitive health. In a quiet assisted living home tucked away in Vermont, researchers conducted a simple study. They weren't looking for miracles, just patterns. Something meaningful. They asked the residents about their routines, how they ate, how they moved, how they rested. And one question most skipped over: how they maintained physical self-care, including private touch. Months later, something unexpected emerged. Those who continued to engage with their bodies, who hadn't given up their rituals of affection, stimulation, or simple bodily curiosity, scored noticeably higher in memory and focus tests. It wasn't just anecdotal. It was measurable. Clear. You see, during physical touch and especially during sexual stimulation, your brain lights up in fascinating ways. Areas linked to memory, like the hippocampus. Regions that help you concentrate and regulate emotion, the prefrontal cortex. Even the limbic system, which manages your mood, your motivation, your very sense of meaning. When these areas are activated, through pleasure, intimacy, or fantasy, they don't just wake up. They strengthen. Neural connections fire. Blood flows. Your brain, like any other muscle, begins to say, "Oh, I'm still needed. I still belong here." Now, here's the part many people don't realize: brain plasticity, the ability of your brain to form new connections, doesn't stop at 40. Or 60. Or 90. The brain is a living, responsive system. But it needs inputs. And one of the most powerful, nourishing inputs it can receive, is pleasure. Not loud, not dramatic, just gentle, consistent, affirming stimulation that reminds you, you're alive. You feel. You imagine. That imagination matters. That spark, that desire, even if it's private, even if it never leaves your bedroom, is a kind of cognitive therapy. It's a reminder to your brain, we're still here. Let's keep growing. This doesn't mean you need a partner. Or that every act of self-care must become sexual. But it does mean that touching your body with kindness, exploring thoughts and fantasies with acceptance, and honoring your natural rhythms, all of it, feeds your mind. It's mental stimulation. It's emotional regulation. It's biochemical alignment. And in the long run, it might just be one of the quietest tools we have to protect memory, mood, and dignity. So if you've ever thought, "I'm too old for this, it doesn't matter anymore, that part of my life is behind me," let this be your reminder, it does matter. Not because society demands it. But because you deserve to feel whole. You deserve clarity. Presence. And moments of joy that belong only to you. Whether it's a daydream, a loving touch, or the decision to say yes to your body again after years of saying no. It all contributes to your mental sharpness, your mood, your balance. These aren't selfish acts. They're sacred ones. And when we stack all these benefits, blood flow, hormones, pelvic health, self-confidence, and now brain stimulation, we begin to see the bigger picture, that this conversation isn't about shame. Or taboo. Or pretending aging means disconnection. No. It's about wholeness. It's about reclaiming every part of yourself, from head to toe, from memory to muscle, as worthy of care. And as we begin to close this conversation, there's one final truth worth speaking aloud: you're not broken. You're not fading. You're evolving. Let's bring all of this together. Because understanding these signs, these signals from the body and brain, isn't just about avoiding decline. It's about reclaiming your dignity. Your vitality. Your joy. For many older adults, these changes we've talked about, the quiet shifts in energy, the struggles with intimacy, the aches that creep in without asking, they're not just about the body. They're about identity. About waking up and feeling unfamiliar in your own skin. About realizing that the person you once were, feels out of reach. Peter didn't just stop looking in the mirror because of wrinkles. Eleanor didn't feel shame over a little leaking. These moments struck at the heart of something deeper: am I still me? Do I still matter? Can I still be loved, when I don't always love what I see? These are the silent questions so many elders carry quietly. Tucked beneath polite smiles at family dinners. Hidden under layers of independence. Or dismissed entirely with a shrug and a joke, that's just old age. But behind closed doors, in quiet rooms, there's often grief, loneliness, even resentment. At a body that feels like it's failing you, and at a world that refuses to talk about it. And families? They feel it too. They worry. They sense something's wrong but don't know how to ask. Or they avoid the conversation altogether because it's uncomfortable. Too private. Too taboo. But here's the truth, avoiding the topic doesn't protect anyone. It doesn't stop the progression. It just adds silence to suffering. But you're here. Listening. Learning. Which means you're already breaking that silence. And that matters. Because when you know what to look for, when you understand the role of touch, intimacy, movement, brain health, self-image, you can begin to take action that's not based on fear, but on readiness. This isn't about fixing aging. Or pretending we can turn back time. It's about walking forward, with knowledge, with compassion, and with courage. Whether it's reaching out to your doctor, scheduling time with a pelvic floor specialist, or simply pausing long enough to ask yourself, what does my body need today? You're reclaiming your power. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to have all the answers. But you do deserve to feel safe in your skin again. To find comfort in your routines. To feel warmth, pleasure, or pride, without shame. These aren't luxuries. They are your rights. You are not a burden. You are not past your prime. You are not invisible. You are living. Changing. Growing in ways your younger self could never imagine. And if no one has said this to you yet, let me say it now, you are worthy of love. You are worthy of health. You are worthy of joy, at every single stage of life. So start with something small. A breath. A touch. A question. Reach out. Reflect. Reconnect. Because the truth is, aging doesn't have to mean disconnect. It can mean deeper connection. With your body. With your mind. With the parts of yourself that have waited patiently to be heard. You're not done. You're just turning the page. And there is still so much life left to live, with care. With tenderness. And with hope. So today, we explored a topic that's often left in the shadows, but one that holds real consequences for physical, emotional, and mental well-being in older age. We talked about how neglecting self-touch, sensual awareness, and body connection in later years can lead to reduced blood flow and hormonal shifts that affect not just the bedroom, but sleep, energy, and even heart health. Pelvic floor weakening, contributing to urinary leaks and organ prolapse, things we often assume are just part of aging, but don't have to be. A fading sense of body awareness, which chips away at confidence, making mirrors harder to face and physical discomfort easier to ignore. And how cognitive stimulation, yes, even from moments of physical pleasure and mindful touch, can help maintain memory, mood, and mental sharpness. Maybe some of this surprised you. Maybe some of it affirmed what you've always sensed but never heard anyone say out loud. Or maybe you're still sitting with mixed feelings, wondering how, or if, this applies to you. And that's okay. These are tender topics. They take time and reflection. But let's keep the conversation going. What resonated most for you in this video? Was it Eleanor's story? Or Peter's quiet battle with the mirror? Have you seen a parent or grandparent face these silent shifts? Or maybe, you've faced them yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. Not just for us, but for someone else who may read your words and finally feel less alone. Your story could help someone else reclaim theirs. And if this video helped you see aging from a new lens, one that's grounded in compassion, honesty, and dignity, then please give it a thumbs up. And consider subscribing to Senior Care HQ, where we tackle the tough topics with grace, respect, and truth. No fearmongering. No shame. Just clarity and care. We post new videos daily that cover elderly mental health and emotional wellness, navigating aging with confidence and purpose, real stories from real people, just like you. You're part of a growing community that believes aging doesn't mean fading, it means evolving, expanding, and embracing yourself fully. Thank you for sharing this time with us. Your attention, your presence matters. You deserve knowledge. You deserve care. You deserve to feel seen and supported, no matter your age. So stay strong. Stay curious. Stay kind to yourself. And we'll see you in the next one.